Hey everybody, it's me, Zach, and welcome back to my channel. Oh, I can already tell now that Beyonce's face is gonna get folded up and look real crazy in this video. But it is what it is. This is the shirt I pulled out to wear today, and that honestly has nothing to do with what we're here to talk about today, which is I've recently discovered that Rosie, despite spending lots of time in live streams saying that she doesn't want to talk about me, she just wants to move on from me, that she doesn't want anything to do with me, has actually still been talking about me on Reddit.
I don't want to talk about Zach anymore. I don't want people talking to me Zach. Talking to me about Zach. Wow. I don't know why that was so difficult for me to say. But, I don't want to engage in it anymore. I'm over it. I'm over the drama. I'm over the nastiness and the fakeness and the judgmental shit that I was once a part of. Like, I'm over it. I'm tired of talking about Zach, guys. I'm really tired of it. I just don't care. How am I obsessed with him when people are constantly talking about him in my chat? And I'm directly asking for them to stop talking about him. How your 1 + 1's equaling fish right now, my guy. I don't care, Emma. I'm annoyed that you're talking about someone I don't want to talk about. I'm not annoyed that they uploaded a video about me. You don't need to come report other channels' activities to me. You're stirring shit up. You're annoying. So I'm annoyed. Sorry. Wait, so are we or aren't we supposed to talk about ZM mixed messages? I'm not sure what you mean, Cat Lou. I just don't want to fucking talk about it.
Now, as a general disclaimer going into this video, I just want to be very clear that Rosie obviously is allowed to have an opinion about me. For sure, absolutely, 100%. I think anybody who I've had anything to say about on the internet is welcome to have something to say about me. And I also want to say I even am okay with folks on Reddit or other forums on the internet having stuff to say about me as well. That's the nature of the internet, and also maybe to be expected as somebody who shares their opinions about other people on the internet. I do think there's certainly a conversation we can have and maybe will have in the future about how people in this corner of the internet maybe take things too far with people like Amber Lynn, Chantal, and even Rosie herself, and even me. But for the most part, I don't really think Rosie engaged in that type of behavior, so I won't spend too much time talking about it in regards to her. Really, the point of me doing this today is to really highlight that despite Rosie not wanting to publicly talk about me, she's more than happy to do it behind closed doors. Or maybe behind the doors of a subreddit. So let me set the scene for you on how this even came up in recent history, why I'm even aware that she's talking about me again on Reddit. There is a user in my Twitch community who has been off and on around in the chat for several years, if I remember correctly. And I've also seen them in other corners of Girl World and in other live streamers' chats and things like that. So back when I was sent screenshot evidence that Rosie was talking about me in these subreddits and that she was taking ownership for the account being her, I saw in that screenshot that somebody who was responding to her was named Zenith Black. And I put a pin in that for myself and the situation that Zenith Black ever posted again in my comment section or ever talked again in my comment section so that I could ask them if that was the same Zenith Black. So earlier last week, after having not seen Zenith Black in my chat for a while, at least from my own recollection, they popped in to say hi. And I took that opportunity to ask them if that was the same Zenith Black as that screenshot, and they said, yes, it's me. I'm that person. And so I mostly had a hee-hee and a ha-ha, but while I was offline last week, while I wasn't streaming, they asked in my Discord if there was a place that they could see the screenshot. And so on Thursday's live stream, I posted that specific screenshot into my Discord so whoever wanted to look at it could. That led to some other folks going and taking a look at what Rosie's been up to on Reddit. And as you can imagine, it was really fascinating to me that she had posted it as recently as 6 days ago, 5 days ago. It kind of reminded me about the time that she talked about how she would write recaps of Trisha Paytas content on a gossip forum.
But way a long time ago, I don't even remember what, I might have been the Trump controversy of 2016. I flipped hard. In fact, there was a period of time in my life where I was on Guru Gossip writing really like catty and nasty like summaries of her videos so people like wouldn't watch them under my current username. Like, I'm sure they still exist, and I own up to that because I lied about it back in the day during like some of my old internet shit. And so I grew out of that, and I was definitely in a really dark place because it was after I had to like experience all the past fat people hate bullying that I experienced and stuff. And it was definitely a way I took out some of my like negativity or whatever on someone that I felt deserved it, in a place where I was hoping they wouldn't read it, essentially. Because I've never been the kind of person to leave hate comments on people's content. Like, that's just not the move.
So Rosie would never talk about it in her own live stream. She won't leave a hate comment, but what she will do is post about me in a subreddit. So yeah, knowing what her Reddit account is, you can go and look at all the posts that account has ever made. And when I saw a member of my community share a post that she had shared only 6 days ago on Reddit, I got curious to see what her recent posts about me had to say. So imagine my surprise that when I pull up her account while I'm on live stream, I see that she had posted 15 minutes before I pulled it up. Part of me wants to go see what her most recent posts have been about, because that's really funny to me. Okay, speed. I forget what it is. 1586. What's she been posting about? Oh, she posted about me 16 minutes ago! She posted about me 16 minutes ago, Divas. And this led me to realizing that she's been posting a lot about me in recent history, and we're definitely going to go over all of her posts that she's ever made from that account about me. But we can certainly start with her most recent post about me, which was in response to somebody hoping she'd bring attention to a person who was pretending to know me and my ex in real life and exposing me for being an awful partner. I want to quickly address this post because I think it's important to discuss in terms of Rosie still posting about me on the internet. But I do think that there's no real good way for me to address it, because if I address it, it gives attention to the post. There's still going to be people who won't believe me in this situation. And if I don't address it, it looks like I'm trying to avoid these like ludicrous allegations about me. I also already briefly addressed it while I was streaming on Twitch and reading this stuff in real time. So you can also always go and check out my Twitch VODs on actual Twitch. This part didn't make it into a re-upload. But yeah, addressing it to this extent gives attention that it doesn't need, especially because this alleged personal friend of mine is not real. There's nothing in their post that they said that was factual. For example, the post claimed that I had a shared bank account and phone plan with my ex, and that I was holding these things over him to like manipulate him. And that's just one example. It should be noted that I've never had a shared bank account with anybody. Maybe my parents when I was like a teenager in high school. I think maybe you had to have your parents on your bank account to sign up for one. But otherwise, like, have never shared a bank account with a person in my life. And the only phone plan I ever shared with somebody was my brother, and I stopped sharing a phone plan with my brother and his family back in 2015. And as far as I know, my ex was on his father's phone plan, so we never had one together. And the interesting thing about posts like this that I've seen happen to other people, but certainly happened in this situation, is that this post relied on remembering one-off comments that I've made in live streams in the past. Like how I had to find my own health insurance after my breakup. because I was on my ex's health insurance plan. Or how I had mentioned that I'd been a sugar daddy in the past. And while those things are true, the only reason this account knows those things is because I said them publicly, not because they have some kind of personal insider knowledge. And that's the thing about this post, is that it seemingly lines up with every single thing that the people in this particular subreddit want to believe about me. And the problem with Girl World in this corner of the internet is that any random weirdo can come online and say, well, I know Zach personally and he's awful. And they don't have to have any receipts. And some people who are dedicated to not liking me will believe it and beg for clout goblins like Rosie to share it. And like I said, to that extent, maybe I'm giving them a little bit of what they want, but for the sake of addressing Rosie's ongoing weirdo behavior, I'll give them this tiny bit. And to that extent, I just want to note that people have been doing stuff like this to Chantal and Amber Lynn and probably even Rosie for a while. I've always really encouraged people to think critically about these things before automatically believing them. When it comes to Chantal and Rosie and Amber Lynn, they all have people from their personal lives who do come forward to talk about them. That's not the case in this situation. And if there's any part of me that sounds like frustrated or upset over this, it's not because this person actually knows me or knows anything about what happened in my breakup, but because it's unnerving to live in a world where some stranger on the internet can just fabricate a story and have people believe it wholeheartedly. And to that extent, maybe something I should have said a long time ago, but was maybe not mentally in a place where I could say it. I just want to be clear that my ex's involvement on my channel was minimal to none. We started dating when I first started YouTube, before I was even popular or famous in any kind of way. Famous, that sounds really silly, but before I had any kind of notoriety on the internet, I had started dating them, and at the time they did have an interest in being in silly vlogs with me or occasionally doing a silly video here and there. As time went on and they saw some of the nonsense I had to deal with on the internet, they wanted to be a part of that less and less and less. Which is why they certainly hadn't been on a main channel video in a very long time. The most that they participated in my online social media content was occasionally appearing on my Instagram and occasionally being in the background of some of my Twitch streams, because they literally used to work from home on the other side of this wall. And speaking of which, they had their own full-time job with a salary. This is not like Amber Lynn and Beck. I didn't pay them to participate in my content, and I certainly didn't pay them to be my personal caretaker. The ongoing desire to try to make me out to be Amber Lynn when it comes to my 7.5-year relationship with my ex is crazy. I certainly struggled with the end of that relationship. It meant a lot to me, and it still does in many ways. It will forever have changed how I experience life, and I'm very grateful for it in a number of ways. There are certainly things that I would go back and probably do differently. I think especially for folks who watched me on Twitch, I would say it's fair to maybe characterize some of my behavior as crashing out or potentially oversharing a bit. I think some of that is certainly fine to characterize my behavior in that way. And certainly if people want to focus in on those things that I actually said or did, more power to you, that's your prerogative. I didn't share anything that was untrue, but I'd certainly prefer you comb over things that I actually did, as opposed to focusing on fabricating stories about people that don't exist. So anyways, now that I've covered that, 16 minutes in, let's get to some of these posts. And by some of them, I mean all the posts that are currently still up on Rosie's burner Reddit account, okay? And we're gonna start with the one that I just got done talking about, the one that's most recent, and then we'll go back to the very beginning, the very first thing she ever had to say about me, some of which I think I have included in previous receipt-related videos. But we're just going to really give you a scope of why I might think it's weird that Rosie is posting so much about me on the internet and won't let people talk about me in her live streams, but then will go and talk to a bunch of people who don't like me on a subreddit. So like I said, the initial post that this was responding to was a person claiming that they personally knew me, personally knew my ex, and had a lot of stuff to share about it. That person deleted their post and somebody else took screenshots and reshared it, and there was a conversation about it here on the subreddit. There was a person named Agreeable Set 2900 who said, super interested in seeing his response to all of this. If he really is like Amberlynn, I bet that he's going to just ignore all of it unless QLR brings it up. Then he would react to her. I know she doesn't want to, but if she put this post on blast on her video, he may see it and have to take accountability. And Rosie responded. Rosie responded to that. And this is the post that I saw she had responded to in real time, like while I was on my live stream, okay? She said, when I first started reading this post, I had a thought in the back of my head that someone might be trying to bait me into talking about it because of the timing. By the end of reading it, I think it's real. I'm terrified to bring attention to this because I'm really fucking tired of the nasty attention of reaction communities and no one believing me when I say it while constantly telling me I want it. I'm tired of being bullied and harassed so much, it's suffocating. So IDK, I'm impulsive sometimes, but I don't want to engage with Zach ever again. Even through the lives, I'm nervous to say I'll never mention anything again because, again, I can be impulsive, but I'm gonna try. Yeah, Rosie. Yeah, Rosie, Foodie Beauty Jr., you're impulsive and you blame all of your poor choices on being impulsive, just like Chantal. That sounds so familiar, Diva. That sounds so familiar.
It was really, really impulsive, but I already paid for it. I can't do anything about it.
But to say she's being bullied, bullied and harassed, like at most when I've seen people bring me up in her chat, they just ask basic questions about me. Hardly almost any of them actually like say anything rude or mean about her. They just bring me up because they know it'll get her started. And she's fully capable of muting my name and things like that in her chat, and she just chooses not to. So, now we're gonna go back in time a bit, okay? Now we're really gonna go back in time a bit. Starting with one that I did in fact already share, and this is from 9 months ago, okay? 9 months ago, somebody posted a post that was speculating about who my ex may be dating now. And Rosie thought it was super appropriate to comment on this person who, by the way, as far as I know, because I don't even know this person, all right? Like, I've never met this person. I don't know nothing about them. But as far as I know, this person never, like, opted into being a part of the internet ever, which is why I'm not going to show you the original post. But she responds and says, this new guy definitely seems like an upgrade. Very classy, Rosie. Very classy. Another post was titled, Noel moved on from Zach in October. And she responded, love this for Zach, to be honest. They're always on such a high horse about themselves. They deserve to be humbled. I deserve to be humbled by experiencing heartbreak. You're really such a kind, nice person, Rosie. I wonder why I think it's so weird that you're so parasocial with me. Another post from 9 months ago, I don't even know what she's commenting on, but she says, this is just plain creepy. Another post from 9 months ago, it says deleted by user, so I assume that this is the person that was like recapping my Twitch lives. And Rosie commented, Noel clearly emotionally left that relationship a long time ago, LOL. A post from 8 months ago, she said, I think a lot of those friends were Noel's and he has some stragglers, but a lot of his socializing he talked about was through Noel. And now he doesn't have that. Personally, it's really nice to have seen Zach's mask fall and not buy all his bullshit like I once did, because it's so clear to me now. Okay, Rosie, all right, okay. Another response to a deleted post, again, presumably from the account that was recapping my lives that suddenly disappeared after Rosie got accused of being the person writing them. I assume she's talking about a time where I mentioned that I reached out to to somebody to take a photo of me. She has a couple of posts about this, because at one point I was talking about trying to have a professional photographer do some new headshots and stuff for me for my like social media. And I reached out to somebody I knew who I was fully planning on paying if they wanted to do that work with me, and they just never responded to me. So anyways, this is one post, and then the next one is another post that are seemingly both about that topic, okay? So she said, if they are ignoring them, they're looking for a discount or free service in exchange for a tag. That's so exploitative. I can't say that word, I'm so sorry. Like, maybe if Zach had like $1 mil or $500,000, that might be worth it, but he's a girl world reactor. This is embarrassing. And Diva's like, if really necessary, I can provide the receipts where I literally say, hey, I'm just reaching out, like, what are your rates? What do you charge people? I'm interested in getting some new headshots for my social media. But then again, because she was very fascinated with this, and I assume maybe other people were also fascinated by my need to get new headshots, okay? She said, can I also add how embarrassing it is to need a high-profile photographer for a YouTube profile pic that's normally so small, resolution isn't a big deal. We all have high-def cameras on our phones. Just get a timer and make your own shoot with a tripod. But that would require originality, creativity, and effort, which both Zach and Amber lack. Maybe something that Rosie can't relate to is that I'm a one-person team over here. I do a lot of editing and planning and responding to business-related emails and doing my own taxes and all kinds of stuff on my own. That, yeah, sometimes I would like to get a third party. I would like to outsource some help with what I do over here because I'm only one person. And yeah, photography, not my strength, not my skill. I've never taken a selfie I've truly really loved for myself. So yeah, I wanted to have somebody do it professionally. And what's interesting, and this was said 8 months ago, so long before this, but I went to TwitchCon for the first time this year, and in the partner lounge, they understood the importance of people having nice photos to use for branding and social media, and they had somebody there doing headshots for all of the Twitch partners if they wanted one. So I'm so sorry that I'm just trying to do something to better the quality of my content. Even if you don't think my content's gotten any better, like, I do occasionally try to outsource some things to get help because I'm a one-person show over here and it's tiring. It's tiring. It might not seem like it, and I know it's probably way different for folks who work in different types of jobs and things like that. I totally get the ways that I'm privileged to do YouTube, but I don't think it's a crime to try and outsource something like a professional headshot to make my channel look nice. Like, this is the level of like silliness that Rosie's upset about or talking about in the subreddit about me. So I think that was the last kind of comment that I knew about it. I could be wrong, because the next one doesn't happen. She takes a long 5-month break, okay? Because the next one doesn't happen until 3 months ago. And it was on a post that said I was still talking about Rosie on stream. She responded to this and had to defend herself. So the mask had come off for her. She wants to talk about masks coming off. She totally isn't even like trying to stay anonymous at this point, probably because I'm guessing by 3 months ago, I might have exposed what her Reddit account was. I don't recall the timeline for that. But here's what she had to say, all right, 3 months ago. It's just so crazy. I never thought we were friends. Imagine he made an expose video on anyone else who had shared DMs with him as a mega fan at the time. Imagine the shit he would catch if he did this to any other ex-fan that wasn't a fat YouTuber. Honestly, it's fucking insane. I have no desire to watch his videos and haven't for a long time. I will never watch that whack-ass video he made. If anyone is the parasocial weirdo now, it's him. He stays in my IG story views. When I went to go unfollow him on Twitch recently, I guess he could see I joined on the back end, so he chose to scroll through his YouTube feed while I was there to show off that literally every other video was one of my lives watched all the way through or most of the way through. I don't watch his shit. I don't really think on his outside of what I don't really think on his outside of what I read in this sub. And if I was responsible for the recaps here, like I was back in the day for Amber's member-only lives, I'd own it. It was not me. I sure did read them, though. I'm sad the person who used to do it got spooked because it's never waste my time in those boring-ass streams. So a few things here. One thing I want to note is that Rosie now clearly time and time again has tried to present this world where she's just a simple fan. She's not a public figure. How dare Zach expose the DMs because I was just a fan. Imagine he did that to another fan. Well, you're not just a fan, Rosie, and I think we both know that. And characterizing yourself as somebody who has a small social media presence when you were very popular in the feeder community and had many subscribers and followers across your social media accounts because of your participation in the feeder community, I think you were also a public figure. And I'm sure this will come up again later because I think I remember another post bringing this up. But just because you have less subscribers than me on YouTube, which by the way, I think you're at like 50-ish thousand subscribers, which is not a small number at all. You're not some little YouTube channel. I mean like little compared to, I guess, like PewDiePie or little compared to like those big YouTubers. Like you're no Mr. Beast, obviously. But like, it's not like you're just a nobody on the internet. And on Instagram, you have like 80,000 subscribers, which is certainly more followers on Instagram than I have. So if we want to pick and choose these things about you just being this nobody that nobody knows, like, let's just try to be a little bit more honest about it. And to be clear, the DMs I shared were DMs that exposed you for basically begging me to react to you. Begging me to react to your friend at the time. There's nothing whack about that. That's what happened, Diva. You can call the video a whack-ass video all you want, but what you said in those DMs is that you wanted me to react to you. You wanted my attention, and now you're getting it and you're upset. You're upset because you thought that I was gonna have like glowing praise for you. And I'll just quickly comment on her saying that she was only briefly in my live stream again. I debunked that just very recently, and actually multiple videos, but I just debunked that, and she was there for a solid like 30 to 40 minutes. So she can say whatever she wants about only being there for 5 minutes to unfollow me, which by the way, it doesn't take 5 minutes to push the unfollow button and peace out, just so we're clear and on the same page. But she was definitely there longer than that. So then she took another break from posting until 9 days ago from today's date. Today is November 2nd. And somebody had made a post saying that they missed the live stream recaps. And she responded, LOL, it was never me. TBH, I liked reading the recaps too and missed them as well because I'd rather dig my eye out with a rusty spoon than watch that loser's Twitch stream. This gave me a good laugh though. IDK why the person freaked out and stopped when they got accused of being me. I do not engage at all with ZM's content outside of this sub because they're a freaking weirdo who projects a lot onto me, and I don't want to have that weird dynamic he had with ALR that he's chasing with me. Girl, I'm not chasing shit with you. And I'm not a bear chasing you through the woods or whatever, like that one story you told me. I'm just sitting here on the internet responding to what you have to say about me. Anywho, TLDR, this is Quirky, confirming it was never me, though no one seems to believe me, LOL. Also 9 days ago, so presumably the same day, she had a lot to say this day, by the way. A lot to say. A lot to say in recent history in general. I don't know what has inspired her to post so much. But again, about people thinking that she did the recap, she said, it really wasn't, LOL. I'd admit it if it was me. This is the Reddit account I had at the time of all of that, and it was a different account. Also, I'd rather gouge out an eyeball than watch those insufferable streams. I've done recaps of like Trisha Paytas in like 2015 to 2018. I don't remember the exact year, but I never spent more than those 5 minutes in Zach's streams to unfollow when I re-downloaded Twitch. And it's funny, I had no idea that Twitch streamers could see viewers like that. Yet Zach failed to mention that when they saw me enter for that was the first time, and that was right before the person who was recapping deleted everything and quit. I get why people thought it was me, but at this rate, I'd just cop to it if it was me. Well, I'm not sure you would cop to it, just for the record. I really don't know why I should just take your word about that, for the record. And I also want to be clear that she says that I failed to mention that I saw her enter. I actually very much did. So she's either lying about that, or she just happened to not pay attention, and maybe that's why she sat in my stream for like 30 to 40 more minutes till the part where I got to her YouTube page and scrolled through it, because she said she saw that, but when I took the screenshot, it was like 30 to 40 minutes earlier in the stream. Now this is the one that really takes me out, okay? This is from 5 days ago. This is from 5 days ago, and when I tell you she wrote a novella, it's so long, you guys. It's so long. The number of screenshots I'm gonna have to take to get it all on the screen, okay? So this is a response to somebody who made a post that said, why does he act like he's not the parasocial one? And she says, TLDR, this is quirky, and this is a crazy long post. Sorry in advance. That's not even how too long didn't read works. It really isn't. You're supposed to give a summary of what you type, but her TLDR was just letting people know it was her and that there was a long post coming. Okay. Let me catch my breath. Hi, this is Quirky Love Rosie. I happened to see this post last night when I opened Reddit when it was 8 minutes old, and wanted to wait to see what some of the comments said before I said anything. But I wanted to thank you. I know most of the people on this don't fuck with me, or at the very least have major criticisms of me, but this subreddit is the furthest extent I go to keep up with ZM. I don't watch their vids or keep up with this weird-ass one-sided beef he has with me. I just wanted to thank you. I know this post wasn't made in defense of me or for me, but I wanted to thank you for validating what I've been seeing for a long time. When I made the gay men comment, it was in response to something someone else said in my comments, and was not about ZM directly. Hell, I was more so thinking about Pulpy, Jordy, Alex's Shook, Mrs. Snowflake, and so on. Well, I will say that's really interesting, Rosie, because there was a chatter in your stream who said, who named off me, Michael B. Petty, Jordy, and Alex's Shook, and you said, exactly, Linda.
Exactly, Linda. That's what I'm saying.
The only two straight men I know of that are full-time reactors are Mr. Snowflake and Hecticana. I never made a mention that all gay men hate fat women, but anyone in queer spaces knows that fat phobia among gay culture is an issue. I will say, actually, the thing that a lot of people talked about in my comments was that misogyny is an issue for a lot of gay men, and I 100% agree. I do think that's an issue. I had not ever heard of an overall, thing that gay men have against fat women. That's news to me. Maybe it's just not my circles of queer spaces. But I have experienced gay men being awful to women, at bars and things like that. I've seen it with my own eyes. So I do think that gay men absolutely can be misogynist. But neither of those things were really my argument in general. It's just that she was agreeing with this, overarching blanket statement about people, seemingly about me, who doesn't identify as a man, but then also these other creators who are just wildly different in how they cover these topics from me. And I would not intentionally refer to ZM as a man. I know he is non-binary. I've slipped with verbiage on lives, and I always correct myself when I notice. Well, not always, because you didn't do it in this live stream, Diva. Just to be clear. And I also want to emphasize that, I shared the stuff about being non-binary because lots of people just, don't understand non-binary as a concept. Maybe you've never met a non-binary person. At the end of the day, I appreciate people trying to, defend me when it comes to it. But my point is that nothing that Rosie said, personally hurt me. I don't think she is intentionally a bigot in the ways that maybe, Chantal is, or maybe like Amber Lynn is sometimes. But I do think that she's ignorant and says a lot of ignorant things. And I think there's a difference, because I think Rosie is absolutely somebody who's capable of learning and growing and making changes. I have a couple ops who are non-binary, and I'd never weaponize their identity to fight because that goes against my morals. Zach is trash for who they are at their core, not their gender identity. It's almost the same way that I have issues with you as a person, not because you're a fat YouTuber like you keep trying to make it out to be. Interesting, Rosie. I've made many missteps in my time on YouTube. There was a time Zach was my favorite YouTuber for years. The truth is, he weaponized that. At this point, I believe all along he wanted to flip on me to turn me into a new content source. I have not watched the videos me made on me since the very first one, maybe second, can't recall. But I don't remember asking him to react to me. Well, you did, sweetie. You certainly did, or at least you certainly implied it. And you were, in fact, also in the DMs of several reaction channels trying to get their attention because you thought it was all going to go well for you because you thought you weren't like the other girls. But if there's real receipts to it, then hey, I'm not going to refute receipts. Well, there are. And see, Rosie, this is the problem. Like, you're more than welcome to not watch my videos. You're more than welcome to. I respect you wanting to keep that peace. But the problem is you keep talking about stuff and claiming that things aren't there or don't exist or things like that. And they very much do. And I very much have provided the proof and evidence. So what ends up happening is you just look silly and you're just counting on the people that watch you in your live streams to not go seek out more information about it. And I asked him about that friend at the time because they were desperate to make YouTube a full-time gig and wanted me to ask for them. I deeply regret that. I deeply regret how naive I was. I've greatly changed how I interact with people online because of the ZM situation. I just want one thing to be super clear. I never made accusations about Poe as my own. This whole thing started when I was just discussing the commentary on this sub, what y'all were posting about. You couldn't pay me to sit on his Twitch streams, so I wasn't the one doing the recaps. I know some people will never believe that, but truly I just copped to it if it was me. I miss those summaries myself.
I think my biggest issue with Zach right now is no one's talking about the situation with Poe and all of that because so few people watch his Twitch. So I would never spend my time watching his Twitch because it's so boring. But I'll read the recaps. And I've been reading them for a while. And it's fascinating to me how more people aren't calling out the hypocrisy of Zachary and Michael and the fact that he's not properly taking care of his dog. And like people just aren't talking about it because it's Zach, and and me doing this now is like probably gonna start some shit, but it's just how I feel. And it's like when your dog's having a problem and the vet tells you that you should do something about it and you just decide to throw more anxiety pills because it's easier, that's fucked up. That's fucked up. Bottom line. And when it comes to animals, I don't play. And so, and there's just like there's a bunch of other shit. But I don't fuck with Zachary and Michael. And I don't know.
This is a good example of one of the things that Rosie clearly loves to do, which is say, well, I didn't start those rumors. I might have talked about them. I might have perpetuated them. I might have put them out there. I might have elevated them to a larger platform, but I wasn't the one. I didn't make those arguments. Zach is angry at me and blaming me as a source as a way to discredit the valid criticism against him because it's the easiest way for him to manipulate the narrative. I would like to understand what valid criticism we're talking about because I already addressed the Poe concerns. I've already addressed that. I've actually went further than I would like to in addressing this made-up person who claims to know me in real life. So what valid criticisms have I ignored thus far? I'd like to know. His audience already has a predisposition to hating ALR, so with my physical likeness to her, along with a couple other similarities, it's a very easy leap to get his fans to see me as the villain, as a liar. When all of this started with him. Him being mad that I went public about something before he did. Him manipulating DMs and cherry-picking screenshots just to turn around and leak I don't even know how much info about me because I refuse to engage. Just to be clear, I was never upset that she shared something before me. I told her not to share. I told her it would be a bad look for her to come out and make a video about about Emily being a feeder and how Amber Lynn was in danger and this, that, the other. I said, you don't want to be a part of Girl World. It's going to be a bad look to come out and post about this. And then she did it anyways. And she got upset because she tried to give all of that information to me as tea, and she wanted me to share about it, actually, but I didn't want to. I didn't have a desire to share it. And then she ended up sharing about it herself and then said I could address it. And so I did address it later when I was talking about her being weird. And I didn't share it in the way that she wanted me to share it. And so that's why she's upset, divas. That's all addressed in the video I made about her being a parasocial weirdo. I'm not the parasocial one anymore. I'm just on a subreddit talking about him. I absolutely was at one point. Finally something I can agree with. I completely cop to that. I never thought we were friends. I'm not delusional, but I was stupid to look up to him. I had a complex about ALR that drives why I used to dislike her so much that I needed to let go of and unpack myself. I saw Zach as someone above Girl World while the whole time they were rolling around in the same shit as everyone else in the reactor space. I learned from that to never hold creators on a pedestal. It was immature and naive of me to do so in the first place. I bought into the fake facade that only broke when I personally experienced how fake and manipulative he is. Mind you, this is somebody who now considers herself a friend of Amber Lynn Reid, who has herself admitted to the crazy ways that she's been manipulative and fake. But sure, yeah, I guess you got me, gal. He's very angry at me from the couple small clips I've accidentally stumbled onto on Twitter and TikTok, and some context from this sub in my comments. He's very pressed that I said he's turned into what he's reacted to, or something along those lines. That I called attention to the fact that he pumped more anxiety meds into Poe instead of treating the source of the issue that was discussed on this sub by the person who summarized it. Interestingly enough, anytime that the Poe stuff comes up in her live streams now, she acts like she doesn't remember what she said or what was going on with the situation. So it's really interesting to me now that in this post, she's saying that, again, she thinks I'm just pumping anxiety medicine into Poe. Suddenly now she remembers what she didn't like about me. So there you go. And this is the last paragraph of this post, if you can believe. I know it's been a long one. So to end this post here, because I'm already wasting too much of my free time on this, I want to make one thing clear. If Zach stopped making videos about me, people would stop bringing him up in my chat, and I would not speak about him again. The past several lives, people bring him up, and I just say IDC. I don't want to talk about him. It's also redundant, stupid, and childish. I used to feel hurt because my favorite YouTuber flipped on me out of nowhere and picked a fight with me when I misread a social situation. I immediately apologized and felt horrible in the DMs, and he never showed that in the first video to paint me a certain way. So I used to be hurt and upset. Now I just want to be left alone. I don't want to be reacted to. I don't want Girl World involved in my content, but it's way too late for that, so I just have to deal. Poor innocent Rosie. Poor innocent Rosie doesn't want to be a part of Girl World all of a sudden. That's crazy. Still in that thread, she responded to somebody else saying, ha 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 ha, fair enough. That gave me a good chuckle, thank you. I'm not clicking on it to see what she was responding to. Also in that same thread, she responded to a person and said, I'm having a rough day for unrelated reasons, and this comment has made me low-key teary-eyed, lol. I feel so ganged up on. He has tripled the subs of me, and he abused the power dynamic that used to be there as someone who used to look up to him and was a major fan. I felt so insane sometimes because the reality of this situation isn't being seen by his sycophants. It is creepy. I'm so uncomfortable. It's personal on his end in a way I just cannot understand. I've moved on, and I wish he would too. You've moved on? You've moved on? In the past 9 days. In the past 9 days, you made 1, 2, 3. 3 was extremely long. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 different posts about me on Reddit, girl. And then in a members only live stream recently, you were talking about me there too because you were behind a paywall and you didn't think I would know.
Is the ZM thing getting you down? No. No. Actually, let's talk about that for just a second. Cause like, first of all, we're on members only, so cool. But, I mean, I know someone will probably screen record it and show it to Zach, whatever. I mean it when I say I don't care. I just don't want people to talk to me about Zach anymore. I'm over it. There was a time where I felt hurt and frustration because someone I considered my favorite YouTuber pulled some fuck shit and made this whole other fucking narrative and then leaked all of our DMs from like when I was a fan of him, which is just like, if you look at that objectively, is fucking crazy. I don't know what Zach is saying about me. I don't even know what videos have been coming out. I've stopped even searching his name to see what the thumbnail and titles are. I used to do that occasionally just to be like, you know, just see what was up. The only things that I know are things that I've occasionally came across on like Twitter and once or twice on TikTok, which surprised me. The only thing that I guess I quote unquote go out of my way of to keep up with is Reddit, because I'm still in the snark Reddit for Zach. Basically, I feel like Zach is using me as the person to blame for the points of like the stuff that people are saying on the internet about him. When like the whole stuff that I said about Poe, I saw a screenshot that had like the last thumbnail and video title that I've seen of his was something like saying addressing Rosie's accusation about my dog or something like that. I don't know. They were never my accusations ever. I was talking about what was on Reddit. It's so boring. There's a reason why no one like fucking watches his Twitch. Like most of his audience doesn't see a lot of the stuff that he was doing on there. And so I was talking about those things and bringing those things to light, and he didn't like that. And he has a very one-sided anger towards me. What do you mean I'm not being honest? The evidence was what he was saying in his Twitch. I was just talking about the commentary that was online. Did I use the word neglected? And I'm genuinely asking because I don't remember. You said that you were not the one that said anything about Poe. I said that because yeah, I read it off of the Twitch summaries. He was saying that it was my accusation. Well, in the title, he said my accusations against him. I don't watch his content, dude. I don't. So I was referring to the one part I saw was the title. This is what I remember, was that there was some other medical issue going on, and instead of addressing that, he just decided to go with more anxiety meds. If I had the post to reference and remind myself of the details, I would tell you, but it's no longer there. Yeah, I mean, at this point, Jamie, I'm gonna just be honest, like, at this point, he's the one keeping it alive, not me. He's the one that keeps talking about it, not me. I brought up stuff that I had seen, because at that time, I was talking more about Zach, like, as a concept, because at the time, when all of that first happened, I had a lot more anger and emotions and feelings towards the whole thing that I no longer feel.
And again, I've already addressed it, but to suggest that she wasn't already a large public figure because she was out here doing X-rated adult content where she smeared a chocolate cake on her chest, like, is silly. She is just as much of a public figure as I am, okay? She has 50-ish thousand subscribers on YouTube. She has 80-some thousand followers on Instagram. It's not like she's a nobody, all right? Just to be clear, this positing her as just like any random fan, it's crazy. It's crazy. And I also just want to say that I'm not obligated to be nice to people just because they say I'm a fan, by the way. Not saying that I feel like I have to sit here and justify more my response to Rosie or not, but like, nobody, like, just because I'm a public figure and a content creator, I'm not obligated to just be okay with people treating me like shit. I'm not obligated to dealing with weirdos. That's the whole problem oftentimes with people who are parasocial like Rosie, is that she thinks I am obligated to be nice to her. She thinks I am obligated to be her friend because she's built up this parasocial relationship with me where she expects me to react to her and behave with her in a certain kind of way. But I don't know Rosie like that. I don't owe Rosie shit. Okay, just so we're on the same page. She also followed up that response with, also, thanks for enjoying my content. I should have led with that. She responds to a post that says, 10 videos about QLR this month, and he's supposedly not dedicating his channel to her. And she responded and said, I promise you I'll never be speaking to him privately again. I'll never give him more ammo against me. I will never waste my time and life to speak with him. Signed, QLR. And that same thread, she responded to another comment and said, this is fucking crazy. Wow, I haven't seen any of these thumbnails since the first Vegas one. Well, that's interesting because you said you hadn't watched any of my videos since like the first or second video I posted about you. Anyway, she said, I haven't seen any of these thumbnails since the first Vegas one, except the one about the dog, which I saw as a screenshot. $500 for bulk shopping where a lot of the items will last 3 to 6 months is just like being smart with money. That was last month, and this month the only grocery shopping I've done was go to the produce shop and my bro picking up small items. He clearly cherry picks content and edits out context constantly. Well, if you didn't watch my video, how would you know that I edited out any context? I also don't think I did, but I'm just saying, like, this is what's so funny is in one moment you'll be like, well, I don't watch any of his stuff. And then the next one, you're like, well, he's editing out context. Girl, what context? And how did you see it if you're not watching my videos? She ends with, he's fucking exhausting, -QLR. Back in the why does he act like he's not the parasocial one 4 days ago, we've now gotten to 4 days ago, she said, I appreciate you so much. If I could go back in time knowing what I know now, I wouldn't have brought up what I saw on Reddit. It was the recapper who brought up the dog stuff. Fueled by my old emotions, I used it as a talking point to showcase how Zach's a hypocrite. I fully understand and agree I'm worthy of criticism when I fuck up. Truly. I'm far from perfect, but I do mean well. I was so hurt, man. I'm done being hurt. Zach doesn't get to have an effect on my emotions, positive or negative, anymore. I'm just gonna focus on trying to not even verbally acknowledge the chatters that are trying to bait me about him anymore. I think that's truly the only thing I can do. Here's another long post on a post titled Hypocrite AF, and this is also from 4 days ago. Wait for it, okay? I'm not normally this vocal in this sub, but I can't ignore this post. You're not? You're not vocal in this sub ever? Thank you. I don't really know how to articulate properly what this means to me. The last portions where you acknowledge that I'm trying to set and maintain boundaries and the other stuff, he's had so many psycho fans that I constantly feel crazy because I've tried to explain certain things so many times and I've just felt too unheard and so unseen about it all. This is my first time really getting some insight into how his commentary is about me. That passing comment someone else made that I responded to wasn't even about him. Well, yes, it was, like I've already pointed out in this video. It was literally about the pattern of gay men making that type of content. This is a common girl world reactor community talking point. I wasn't even the person who brought it up. See what I mean when she loves to be like, well, I didn't bring it up. It's not my fault. I wasn't the one that brought it up. I was engaging with a very long-time chatter who said it, and it's a valid point when you look at the facts. If that somehow makes me a bigot or anti-gay, I don't understand the logic there because it doesn't exist. Well, I didn't call her a bigot or anti-gay. So that must be referring to somebody else's interpretation of what she did. I think their anger and obsession is from the majority of my criticisms of him holding up a mirror to his deficiencies. Girl, what deficiencies are we talking about? Can you start providing examples? They've been true and he can't accept that. What? That I neglect Poe? Is that what we're discussing? That's the deficiency? Honestly, I wish I understood why he's so angry. I wish there was something I could do to make that lessen because I just don't want the energy. You don't, girl? Not even a little bit? Girl World reactors have two lanes. They either fall down their own lolcow pipeline or they gracious step out like a Michael B. Petty. Okay, well, just for the record, she's taking the lane of falling down the LOL cow pipeline. Cause least you forget that she once upon a time made content about both Amberlynn and Chantal. And now look at what you've become, Rosie. So if I'm going down the lol cow pipeline, you're right there with me, Divatron. I'm just gonna hold out for when the court of public opinion wakes up to the truth of ZM. I don't ever expect to be the one to win public favor in Girl World. That would be delusional. But ZM will one day be seen for who he really is. And hopefully, I'll be too busy to even see or know about it enough to care or have an opinion. -QLR. Yeah, apparently you're not busy enough right now, Diva. Apparently you're not busy enough because you surely do seem to care and have an opinion, as demonstrated by the multiple posts in the subreddit about me this past week. So yeah, then the most recent one is the one that I covered at the top of this video. This has been an insanely long video. Maybe it'll be shorter when I edit out the ways that I fucked up reading because I can't read well. But it's interesting, Rosie. It's interesting. You don't want to talk about me, you're not bothered by me, and yet you'll go into these subreddits and you'll just yap, and you'll yak, and you'll yap, and you'll yak. And I just find it interesting, I really do. Anyways, that's all I have time for today. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did and you're brand new, consider subscribing down below. Hit the bell button so you get notified every single time I post a new video. Make sure to leave me a comment, hit like, click share, and follow me on all my social media. I'll see you all next time. Bye!